Hi, welcome to my studio. All right, in today's video, we're going to be talking about storyline and we're going to be talking about inking. Now, I have this cartoon that I've already been working on to give you an idea of what's happening here. So we're talking about how our story progresses, what we can do to make things interesting, and also kind of how to lay it out on the page. So just to show you, this is what we have so far. I have that's better. I've laid this out in pencil and I've started inking this part in. Okay, we're going to talk about that. So once you have it in pencil, I usually do mine in pencil first, pretty much. That way you can kind of plan what's going to happen in your cartoon and you can decide what to leave, what to take out, if you want to make any changes. A lot easier. Obviously, once it's inked, you can change things using whiteout. It can get a little messy. So here we have, I've started this kind of in the middle of a story. It says, meanwhile, and we've got this close up on this kid. Close up would be exactly what it sounds like. We're getting in close to our subject. Now he's in this lemonade stand, and as you can see, we've got the E's backwards. A lot of times that's kind of a setup to show you that this particular sign was made by somebody young, for example. And or it could be somebody like me that was in a hurry. So he's got this, and he's thinking of money. Now, our next panel, because we always read from left to right, top to bottom. So that brings us to our next panel. I'm going to ink that in while I'm talking about this. He is looking across the street. Now, remember, as you're developing your cartoon, I'm going to talk about how we do that as well. So a lot of people could just jot things down, kind of make notes. I actually have a file of ideas that I put together because maybe I don't have time to sit down and draw something out if it's going to be a little more complex. So I may want to just jot an idea down that I'll come back to later. The other way to do it is just kind of right off the bat. Well, I got that idea, grab a paper, get it down on paper. And sometimes they come to us from something we've experienced, and sometimes it's just an idea that comes into our head. Now, we're going to draw this guy from the back. I don't know if you could tell from my pencil sketch, but we're looking from kind of behind him as he's looking across the street. Now, this is something that a lot of times kids have trouble with, drawing somebody from the back. It's tricky to get the right look. So I'm not going to go crazy with the hair. I'm just going to give a suggestion here that that's where the hair is. Get a little bit of that going along, and then we have something like this. And I'm kind of adjusting as I go. This is a little different than my pencil. And I'll put the shoulders in. And that's what we have so far. So I put some detail into the back of the sign, because remember, we're looking from behind him, looking from the back of the sign, and he's looking now where? Where is he looking? Well, in a cartoon, you could have these kind of dotted lines showing that he's looking out there. Now, across the street, I have his nemesis, his next door neighbor, who also has a lemonade stand. So we'll ink that in. Now he has his E's going the correct way. Very similar kind of stand. And I have drawn him as if he's just kind of leaning on his hands. And there's his little head right here. And we'll see if we can squeeze a little smile out of him. There we go. And some hair. Now, because he's quite a distance off, we've shown him smaller. There he is so far. Let's finish the little box. So I have some perspective going on here. Perspective, if you haven't seen any of my other videos where I talk about that, perspective in drawing is showing something three-dimensional, trying to get a three-dimensional look in 2 dimensions. Now, here's his stand. Let's put some grass around him. And he's selling his lemonade for $10. Now I can put a little horizon back here. And I'm going to do the panel in. Again, I'm not exactly staying on my pencil lines. It's okay. Not a problem. We want to take a look at this here. Where are we going? Now the foreground, here's his hair standing up. What does that mean in a cartoon? It means that he's freaked out, could be scared, but in this case it's like, whoa, what the heck is going on over there? So we're going to put a question mark here. He's wondering. Word balloon, like so. Coming out of here, thought balloon, thought bubble. Now, this is what our page looks like, okay? Not bad. So we have our storyline. Starts here, goes to here, here to here. This would be continued to tell us more of what's going on, what's going to happen. This doesn't really give us what we want here so far. We would want more of what's going to happen in this. We've created a conflict. We don't know anything. Is this guy, are they friends? And all of a sudden now they're not. Let's take a moment to get rid of my pencil lines. And so we would have to develop this story. We would have to continue it so people know what's happening. So now I'm cleaning it up a little bit. Get rid of some of those unwanted pencil lines. If you're doing this for fun, obviously, you know, just leave it in pencil, just have fun, go at it. Head on to the next one. Now, here's a couple of things I noticed. My $10, it looks a little kind of, could be misconstrued for something. So I'm going to touch that up. Make sure that looks like a 1 and a 0. That looks better. On here, I want to have a little bit of shadow on there. So I'm just going to do some of this, some hatching in here. That's what this is called. And here. This is the back of my sign. Let's talk about a couple of things that we can do to add to this. So if I want to do 3 dimensions in a cartoon, in a drawing, here's some basic shapes, okay? So if I want to make this 3-dimensional, you know what? I'm going to use a bigger marker for this so we can see a little better. I have changed my square into a cube. Okay, pretty sure we can see that. Now, my triangle can become 3-dimensional in a couple of different ways. I could have this become a pyramid, in which case I would have to do something like this. Now I have one side that's kind of has this sort of face on it. Okay, so then we have that. Now, we could also, that could be a cone. Uh-oh, now we have a problem. Aside from this little part right here, what am I going to do to show that that is a cone? Well, we may have to incorporate some shading, and that is a little tricky with pen and ink. Okay, with pencil it's simple. Okay, so we've kind of accomplished that. We've got a little bit of shading going on. Uh-oh, what about this guy? This could really be a problem because we can't do anything with the shape. It's a sphere. Okay, so we have to rely on our shading. And we can do something like that. Now, why am I talking about that right now? If we look at our boxes here, these guys, we have a little bit of that same kind of shape going on. So I could add some shading to this to bring this into a little more of a 3D kind of look. Now we're assuming that the light is coming from this direction to cause that to be shaded there. And I want to do the same thing on his little uprights and here. Okay, so then that adds a little bit of interest to it. And we've got some shading going on here as well. That's the bottom of his sign, and it's the back, so we wouldn't have anything written on it. Now here we wouldn't put any shading in because we're not seeing the side of the box, okay? So that's a little bit about shading and a little bit about 3 dimensions. I want to show you one real quick thing, if I have time. Actually, I'm going to save that for the next video. So this is what we have so far. And we have some shapes that we messed around with. So have fun with creating a multi-panel cartoon and see what kind of stories you can come up with. Have fun. See you next time.